welcome back to the Zenith Medium. I am Silver and we are doing Showing Off My Art Gen 10 Part 2. Bit of a mouthful, but I'm working on the intro. I assure you it will get smoother as the year goes on. Anyway, continuing from last video, I counted the drawings we did, and I can assure you we got through 40 of them. 40 on the dot, exactly. So we did like a good chunk of them. So yeah, 2/5 of the thing out of the way. I can also attest to the fact that looking back at the picture I took of all of them together, it is in its entirety Braw Stars. So yeah, like I said, 90 to 95% of this is literally just Braw Stars characters, with a small little detour towards the end. But for now, we will continue on this journey. Next up, Parker chose, because by this point there was no longer any basic brawlers, there was just, it was Shelly, and then it was the rare brawlers and super rare and epic and mythic and legendary and chromatic. So choosing the next rare brawler to draw, we get Bull. And Bull, a bit more on the basic side. Obviously the model is from Drawanything animations. But he fits on one page. He was I was looking forward to doing this guy for a while. Contrary to what I thought at the time, this was not this Arts' favorite brawler. It's up there, but it's not one of his favorites. So unfortunately, I didn't get to draw him as Bull, but anyway. So yeah, Bull was fun to do. A bit more on the bland side in terms of just default attire. Now, I forgot to mention when I was showing off Sharktooth Colt that Colt has gone a little bit of a remodel, just a small touch-up since when I drew Sharktooth Colt, so I do have to do that. And Bull has also gotten one of those since then, so I have to do that too. But for now, at the time, this was just Bull as default format, and it's there, it's basic, but it works for what it needs to. Bull obviously being one of the OGs of the game. Next up, we get one that to the, casual eye won't look too different, but for those of us who know, This is Bull in his beta form. So if you can't tell what's different, his gun has got like a more refined end to it with a little bit less detail. His jacket had ripped sleeves on it. He had a different, like, belt buckle thing, I think is what you call that. His face was also just a little bit different, it's kind of hard to put into detail. But overall, it was a rougher skin. It looked relatively similar, but it looked different enough for me to draw it because it had a discernible difference to it. And if I were to put the two side by side, you'd be able to tell, but, why don't I do that? There you go. You can definitely tell that there's a difference, even if it's not like a big one. This head is like wider, the shotgun's different, the color scheme's a little bit more bland, and the Bull thing is a bit different, as well as the tattoo piercing and all that. Also, the eyebrows were flipped. I didn't notice that at first, but the eyebrows were flipped when I was going to draw them. I realized that, and I was like, oh, okay. And yeah, so it's not too different overall, but it was different enough, and I thought it was cool to draw. Next up, we get, these two were pretty easy to draw, so I did them in succession, even though I usually try and divide them. We get True Gold and True Silver, which, well, you should get the point by now if you've been watching this series. Next up, this one is actually one of my favorites to draw. It wasn't one that I was looking forward to doing when I initially had to draw it, because I just didn't know how I was going to do with all the moving pieces. But like, this one translated very, very well into paper style, like surprisingly well, and it is probably one of, if not my favorite, Bull skin in the entire ensemble. We have B100, I think, which is like a Terminator Bull skin from the Golden Arm update when Bell was the chromatic brawler that came out. And this skin is it's default Bull, but like with moving pieces that make him look Terminator-ish, and it translated so well. I love this skin so much. I love it to bits, and I can't express to you why, because it's like, it's basic, but it takes enough of it and changes it, and I managed to make it work, which is what I always hoped for. And it just looks so nice and so good, and I love this skin so much. I might even like it more than the actual model in the game, I can't even tell you. But I love it. I do. I really, really do. Obviously, this was chased off default bull to make happen, but God, is it good. It's so good. It's so good. And I was still listening to Distractable when I made these skins, by the way. God, that was so good. It was so good. This one and Pizza Ash, two of my favorites I drew in this update. Next up, we get this skin that I drew before the current model, just because I already... It's a bit of an interesting scenario where I did things a little bit differently. This is the original model of Viking Bull. Viking Bull being one of the first skins in the game, and Viking Bull being one of the first skins I ever got in the game. This was back during the beta of the game, and back in the beta, the brawlers didn't change completely. More so, it was like a color variation or a single part of them that really altered. And Viking Bull was like one of the first, if not the first skin I ever got in the game. So I traced the old version of Bull, the old model, not the first one that I showed you, but the second Bull skin that I showed you. I traced that one to make this one, which is literally just a head difference. It doesn't change in any other way. The color scheme is still the same elsewhere. It's literally just the hair that changed. And so there's that one. But it got a remodel, and this one isn't my own. The reason I saved this one and the next few for later is because they were done by Drawanything animations already, so I saved them for last. This is Viking Bull, the current version of it, a little, shorter than the other ones. Even so, the color scheme works. I think Drawanything animations did a really good job with him, and I'm glad I got to translate that over. I would have been happy to do it myself, but hey, it's here, and it's really cool and it looks good. And I love this skin. I don't see too many Bull players use this skin anymore, but whenever I do see one, the very rare occasions where I do, I always I applaud them right away. They become some of my favorite people just because, it's such a old skin, but it's such an awesome skin. I think it's definitely underrated in the current game today. Next up, we got another one done by Drawanything Animations, which is Barbarian Bull. In my opinion, this one doesn't translate very well to the paper art style, but it's what it is. It was one of the first skins to come out when they crossed brands with Clash Royale, even though it's from the same company. And it's alright for what it is. It's not my favorite by any means. Drawanything Animations did alright with it. It was also one of the first times I used a bronze Sharpie. Obviously I used gold and whatnot, but the bronze Sharpie for the glove, it's one of the first times and only occasions thus far I've actually been able to use bronze in a legitimate way, and it just came out here. And it's not my favorite by any means, like I said, but it does what it needs to, I guess. This one was one of the newer skins that came out around the same time. No, this one had already come out. But as you know, I showed you the BB skin earlier, and Bull got a skin in that same lineup. So Bull, I think this one's called Bull Mang, I think. And it's this guy. And Parker, honest to God, thought this was probably the best Bull skin I drew. And admittedly, I kind of hate to agree because the colors work well together, but it's still... Usually you see this skin from the side profile because that's what works best, but I don't do it that way. I do all skins the same. So I had to reverse engineer it to make it up front. And so we get this thing, which is difficult to draw because it completely changes how Bull looks, kind of like the BB skin that I showed you earlier. Still fits on one page, not one of the taller ones I don't think, but definitely one of the more unique ones. I don't own this skin in-game either. It's not one of my favorites, but it translated very well here. That's one thing I'll give these skins props for. Their vibrancy and whatnot works really well. And yeah, so props to me, I guess, for making this happen. But yeah, I wasn't looking forward to drawing it, but it turned out better than I anticipated. I doubt I could do a better job these days, but it is what it is. Next up we get this one, and this one I was hoping I'd do good on this one. I don't think it turned out exactly how I intended, but I really like this skin and I was hoping I could do it justice. This is Space Ox Bull. And so Space Ox Bull came out during the Colonel Ruffs update. It's a exclusive skin for New Year's? Lunar New Year's, I think? I'm not sure, but it has its own like voice lines and everything. It's pretty cool. I think the colors work really well, but it could have been, I just think it could have been refined a little bit more, but you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't hate it. I just wish I could have done more with it. I feel like it's a little jumbled in some places, but you can only do so much for a skin. And I think it looks better on camera, or at the very least it looks better from a distance, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I can't really complain too much about it. And then I gotta be honest with you, even though I love Bull, and even though I'm a big nerd about Brawl Stars, I forgot these skins were even in the game, which is why I only drew them at the very end. And these ones, they had no right to be, but these skins were difficult to draw. They gave me a bit of a headache. And that is linebacker and quarterback Bull. Obviously, I drew the red one first, and then I traced in to make the blue one. And they're no different, like, shape-wise or whatnot, but they are different color-wise. Otherwise, they're kind of like a different version of the, like, relationship-wise, they're kind of like the True Gold and True Silver skins, but they are, you know, they're unique. They're some of the tallest because of the helmets, but Parker thought that because of the helmets that they were the worst Bull skins that I drew this time around. Even though I thought the helmets turned out pretty well, all things considered, especially this one. This one, because it's black, I think turned out a little bit worse, but this one, because it was, you know, red, I mean, gray and red, I thought it turned out decent, but I guess opinions can change. Even so, you know, they're not skins I look upon too fondly. They're definitely, like, you can tell they're more so on the early side of Brawl Stars compared to a lot of the other skins. But they did what they needed to do, and I think I did them to the best of my capacity at the time. I don't really know how I could change them up until this point, but, you know, it is what it is. And then we get, I think, to this date, still the newest Bull skin in the game, but I could be forgetting one, so don't take my word on that. This is Lion Bull. And I had no idea how I was going to do this one when I first tried to do it. But, like, what skins like this, it's really just a matter of taking the little pieces of it that are the same and starting with those and then doing everything based off of those. For instance, like the eyes and like the hand and whatnot, and just doing everything in relation to that. I like the color scheme. I think this one works, like it translated well in paper style. But it's still not my favorite. It just looks a little weird in paper style with like the pose he's doing, which was the pose that Drawanything Animations did him in, and is typically his pose, with his default skin at the very least. But you know, I just don't think it works pose-wise for this skin, but the color-wise it works very well in my opinion with this skin. So yeah, no, that's just a quick little show off of Bull. I think we're working with 3 different browns here, which was cool. It was cool. And then next up, a bit more catch-up. You'll notice that I do like some new stuff, and then I catch up, and then some new stuff, and then catch up. Next up was one of the hardest skins to draw, but not a skin I regret drawing because it looks badass. And I remember, to give a bit of time, I started drawing these skins around the time that Lily first got into the game, like seriously, like they were some of the first Brawl Stars skins I could show Lily and she could actually appreciate because she had started playing the game by this point. We start off with Mecha Mortis, a lot of purples going into this, and Not the easiest one to do by any means, any stretch of the imagination, but I think I got it done pretty effectively, all things considered. Admittedly, the top of the head is a little disjointed from the rest of the body. I wish the head was a bit smaller. I feel like that would have helped it out a little bit, but overall I think it still works pretty effectively. And I think with its cape being white and whatnot, I think it also helps parts of it stand out. I really like that aspect of it. The detail I think works fine overall. Like, I think you can definitely tell what's going on in each phase, and no part about it is particularly bad. I think the head could have been worked on a little bit, but overall I think it's pretty good. And I can't complain about it overall. I really like the skin, even though I'm not a big Mortis player. And then obviously it came with 2 color variations. You got this one, which is light Mecha Mortis. I like this one a lot, but it's no different in size or anything from the previous Mortis skin. And then you got Dark Mecha Mortis, which again is the same thing. This one I think is the worst paper-wise because it doesn't translate as well as the other ones do, but it still works. It does. It still works. And now we continue with catching up. Next on the pecking order was Swaymaster Barley. Hole right there. Otherwise, I think the color variation works in my favor. Give me a second. But yeah, no, so Swaymaster, yeah, the colors work, it makes it pop. I think unlike other Barley skins, this one you actually get to tell what's going on. But Barley's never translated the best in paper form. I think this is one of his better ones. Aside from this one, I think it's Unicorn Barley that works the best. But I still like this one. I think it works. And I think it does what it needs to. And Swaymaster Barley is one of my favorite skins in the game, so this one's just really fun to do. More fun than anything, I think. Next up on the pecking order of catching up, we have Tempest Tara, which I didn't expect to have so much detail to it. That's the thing with drawing Brawl Stars skins in paper style, is I really get to study them and actually realize just how much detail there is. And Tempest Tara is just that. It's very detail-oriented. Yeah, there's a couple different shades of green in here, but it works. Like, I think there's 3 shades of green in this one. And the head looks a little weird in my opinion, but it's still one of my favorite Tara skins overall, and I think, I think it's good. I think it is. Though I should mention, I drew these when Stara wasn't in the game yet, so I haven't drawn Stara, which replaced Iris Tara, for those of you who don't know. And then this skin, and I think this skin had either just been released when I drew it, but I could be wrong about that. I think the skin might have, did it? No, this skin is, yeah, it was still new to the game when it came out, when I drew it. And then this one is Rage Quit Tara, I believe. And yeah, again, very detail-oriented. This one I think gets a little bit more jumbled than the other ones. Even so, it was a little bit different to do, and I appreciate the difference. I appreciate the variety. There's a hole right there. But there's not much more to say about it than that. I like the color scheme. I think it's definitely an underrated Tara skin. I certainly need to use it more, but I'm not a big Tara player overall right now. It's also very weird to talk about Tara because I have a friend in the a friend in the acting program named Tara, so you know, I kind of think about her when I'm talking about this Tara, which is a little bit different. But overall, yeah, I still think it's cool, and I like the design and whatnot. I just think it gets a little bit jumbled in paper style because it's a little too detailed. Next up, we do a bit more catch-up, and it's catch-up, but it's returning to characters we've already done. Gummy Bear Nita. I was not looking forward to doing this one at all because it has 3 different color variations that look the exact same. So you got, like, obviously the candy cane stripes and whatnot. I start off with green. We're now at 10% battery, that's lovely. It's got 2 different colored greens to it, which you can't really tell, but that's the truth. And it allowed me to use different shades of blue and red that I don't get to use too often, but yeah, you know, it's there, and I can't complain about it too much. By no means the tallest Nita skin, but it's there, and it works. I don't mind it. I think the green is my favorite of the 3. But then, you know, you got this one, which it is what it is. And you get this one, both of which are the same except different colors. But the reason I didn't look forward to drawing these skins wasn't because of the Nitas, although that didn't help. The reason I didn't like drawing these skins was because I had to do Bruce. And Bruce is the same fucking color for most of him, which, oh my god. Cut going down right there, otherwise not very different overall. I use the same, like, pencil crayons that I use for Nita to draw Bruce for, like, consistency reasons. I usually try and do that with Nita and Bruce anyway. So obviously it's the same greens and whatnot, just on a bigger scale. But it's not bad, I guess. It's Bruce. It's Bruce. And then with that comes pink and yellow Bruce. Again, same color variations. Lily has this skin. I think it's one of her favorites. But it might be Shiba Nita. Shiba Nita she might like a little bit more. Next up, a little bit more continuation. Catching up. We got Desperado Poco. I gotta admit, I kind of wish I put the handkerchief over Poco's mouth. I think that would have helped a little bit. But either way, it still works. The color scheme works and everything. It gets a little bit jumbled, but I think overall it's still primarily visible and works well. I don't like the hat per se because Poco's head is so round and then all of a sudden just gets flat. Like, you can tell right like that. I don't like that, but that's more a nitpick than anything. I like the perspective that the guitar gives it. I just like the guitar overall. And yeah, it's not my favorite Poco skin overall. And also, this is before CCTV Poco has been released yet. Obviously, he was announced during Brawl Talk, and I still have to do that one, so... yeah, no, we got this Poco for now, and Desperado Poco was the newest skin in the game at the time, which you cannot complain about, because Desperado Poco is pretty cool. And then we get this one, and this one was nearly so good, and I just had to go and fuck it up. We had Biker Carl, and Biker Carl was initially so good. I had drawn the body, and it was so nice, and then I drew the cape, and that just kind of fucked it all up, in my opinion. Yeah, Carl has never really translated well in terms of paper style, and this skin got close to doing so, but it just didn't work out in my favor, because I decided to add too much. Like, the bike and everything was fine, I just had to go and add the cape, and I had to add the cape in this way, and just did not work out. So here we are, and I'm not very much pleased with this skin, but it was nice to draw something with orange for once, and I really like this skin. I do. I don't know what my favorite Carl skin is. I think it's Captain Carl, but this skin is still cool. I should also mention this is before the Dark Tide Carl remodel, or the recoloration came out, so I haven't drawn that one, but this one at the time was the newest Carl skin. Also, Goblin Carl hadn't come out yet. I gotta draw a Goblin Carl, I think. Yeah. Next up, on the topic of Halloween, we got Ghost Leon, the second Halloween Leon skin. This one was pretty easy to draw because it's primarily white, and I don't have to put in any effort when things are white, so, you know, the colors work for this one. I think overall, you could tell I was putting in, like, a little bit less effort, like I was just kind of speeding through it to get to the next one. Even so, I had to make sure I did justice for this one because Parker was judging all these skins, And yeah, Ghost Leon, it does what it has to, but it's by no means like the most detailed Leon skin in the game. And it's obviously not the most detailed Leon skin I've drawn, but I think the colors work, it stands out really well, and it just works. It just works. And there's not much more to say about it other than that. Sorry, I was having deja vu because I thought I did Stray Leon in this generation. Stray Leon comes the next generation. That's a fault of me. But I have drawn Stray Leon. I just haven't drawn White Wolf Leon. White Wolf Leon is the next Leon skin that I gotta do that I haven't done yet. So, but next up, we actually take our attention away from Brawl Stars. This is, you know, the little differ in the road. And draw my first human in a while. I guess Leon is human too. And like my first real person. As you know, I used to draw people a while ago. And they didn't look very great. I will be the first to admit that. I was trying something, it didn't work. At the time I thought they looked okay, but looking back on them now, they're a travesty. So I was talking with this one guy, and you might recognize him when I show you him. And he was one of the first I drew last time, I think, if my memory serves me right, so he was the first one I drew this time around. And I think for a time, he was the only one that I was going to draw. I think his birthday was coming up, so I drew him. No, his birthday hadn't come up yet. I think I just drew him to draw him. But this is the redone Quinn. Shout out to his band, which is you can find it on Spotify. Please go check him out. But Quinn, you might recognize because I did puppets with him. And this is him done so much better than I did him previously. For those of you who need a reference, this is the guy that I drew with pink shorts and the navy blue sweater. Once again, I let him pick what he wanted to wear, and so I drew him with this. And I'm really proud of the skin. I'm really proud of how it turned out. Or not skin, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out with my new human model. In pose and whatnot, it's actually not that much different from the other ones, but it's certainly different from the ones, like, from how I did it before. It's a lot more refined, it's a lot better looking and everything. Hole right there, as will be the case for most of these guys. And yeah, it's Quinn, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Fits on one page and everything. It's just, yeah, super cool, super cool. So my puppet buddy, he goes there for now. We do a bit more catching up once again, because we do Zombrock, who I think turned out decent for the most part, but I think could have been done better. It's kind of just there for me, I think. Zombrock is a decent skin overall. I don't play enough Brock anymore anyway. But, you know, this is up there, and I can't complain too much. But yeah, no, we got Zombrock in there, and I don't know, like, the colors aren't the best in the world. The pose and the model, everything, it's not the best in the world. It's kind of just average in every category, in my opinion. I don't like it, but I don't hate it. Well, I shouldn't say I don't like it. I do like it. It's just not high up. This one blows that one out of the water, and that is Postal Delivery Brock. This one is just, it's good. I like this one. Admittedly, I think I could have done the hat a little bit better. If you start the hat too long, it looks weird. There's a hole right there, but otherwise, like, I don't have this one, but this one just, it's a funny little skin that they brought into the game. And I enjoy it for what it is. So Postal Brock, you know, I think it's just Zombrock, but like everything's so much better. The colors are more vibrant. It feels a lot more like Brock in terms of drawing. I think the box rocket launcher is my favorite part about it. I even drew the little arrow thing. But overall, yeah, it's just a solid skin, I think. And I think it is probably one of my favorite, like, Brock skins that I've done in terms of my quality of drawing. More so than the Brock skin overall. I don't know what my favorite Brock skin is, I gotta be honest with you. But this is also before Zeus Brock was in the game, so I didn't draw Zeus Brock at that time. But next up, we finally get to do this skin because we're still playing catch-up, and we get to do Inspector Colette. Inspector Colette being one of Lily's favorite skins, and she has this skin actually. I thought this one would have turned out better. There's actually a lot less to it than I thought there was, I gotta be honest with you. Not to say that's a bad skin or anything, I thought there'd be more effort that I had to put in, but overall it's a lot of solid pieces. I'd argue one of the most solid Colette skins that I've drawn yet. My favorite part is the tickets coming down, just that little bit of perspective I had to do was pretty cool in my opinion. I don't think it translated the best to Brawl Stars, to paper style, but yeah, it's alright for what it is. I can't really complain, the colors are there, it's about average for me, and yeah. Next up is finally, turning a little bit away from catch-up. Oh, sorry. It's a little bit it's no longer catch-up. This one was one that Parker chose. Obviously, Bull was the last character that Parker chose, and that was a rare brawler. This one is a super rare brawler, and the super rare brawler that Parker chose was one that I didn't think he'd actually choose so soon, but it's been chosen, and here we are with one of my least favorite brawlers in the game, just because they're so annoying just to play and to face, especially to face. It's Tick. Tick's a little bit more on the bland side in terms of colors and whatnot because he's a lot of grays. He's also one of the widest brawlers that I've drawn, if not the widest brawler that I've drawn. Cut right there. But yeah, no, the model is still Drawanything animation, so shout out to them once again because yeah, Tick is their creation. Well, their drawing that I just used. And I think the colors work out. I like that the gray now, you can definitely tell that it's gray and it's there. That was the problem I had drawing Barley and Carl and Rico, was that the gray kind of got consumed by the black, so you couldn't really tell what was happening. This one you can definitely tell what's happening because it's a lot of solid pieces working with each other. So I like that aspect of it. The colors are obviously not my favorite selection. Tick was interesting to do, but like he got repetitive really quickly. Even just drawing this one was a little bit repetitive, and having just that little bit of Tick's arm that didn't fit on the page just made it, true to the character. Very fucking annoying. Next up though, we have this one, which is again part of that cross promotion thing I keep bringing up every now and then. We have Shuki Tick is what it's called. Hole filled in right there and cut right there. This was one of my favorite Tick skins to draw because it just had a different coloration style, so I can appreciate that. The more vibrancy, I think, helps it a lot, but I think this is the one that Parker said was the worst of all the Tick skins that I drew. Either way, I appreciate it for what it is. I like the head the most, I think, is my favorite part about the skin that I drew, not necessarily the skin overall. I don't know, I like the fact that it was different colors than, the other Tick, which is so bland. But even so, it is still Tick, and it was taxing to draw, nonetheless. And then we get True Silver Tick, which is whatever. You get the deal by this point. Same cuts and everything and size and whatnot. Next we get Crab King Tick, which was a bit weirder to draw than I had anticipated it would be. I think this one I managed to fit on one page. Like, there's no cuts on either of the arms, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, overall, I did what I could. I don't think there's any room for me to improve. There probably is, but I don't know what I would improve on. And the colors stand out, so you can definitely tell what's going on at all times, but it's not much more to say about that. It's not one I'm particularly proud of, but it's not one I'm not. It's, like I said, it's kind of just there. and I can appreciate it for what it is. So Crab King Tick is just kind of there, you know, it does what it needs to, and I'm fine with that. And then we get True Gold Tick, which you get the deal. And then we get Snowman Tick. Now the only problem, well, there's a hole filled in right there and a cut right there. The only problem I have with Snowman Tick is the hat. I wish I did the hat better. There's got a cut right there. I like the body and whatnot, but like I said, the hat is probably the thing that stops me from liking it overall. And if I could go back, I definitely would change that. But Snowman Tick, for the most part, is not bad. I like the different browns and how they work together. I like the scarf. Obviously, with it being white, I didn't have to put that much effort into it. It's probably one of the quickest tick skins to do. But yeah, it just wasn't the best handled. And by this point, Cerberus Tick wasn't in the game yet, so unfortunately I don't get to discuss that one yet. But I did draw it in the next update, in the next generation, so we will be talking about that one very soon. I have drawn it, but it isn't in this particular lineup. But with that, we've crossed the 36-minute mark. I'm going to wrap it up there for this one. We have got just a few skins left to do, and I think this one will get through very, very quickly. Next update, next episode, we don't start with Brawl Stars. We take a big break from Brawl Stars for a little bit, so hopefully that'll provide a little bit of differentiation. Well, guys, for now, thank you all so much for watching. I'm Azure Soul. Like, subscribe for more gaming and vlogs about what comes. I will see you all very, very soon.